We're here at the headquarters of Fingal County Council, where delegations from various towns are handing in their letters of objection to the wastewater treatment plant. Some have come in what we can only describe as fancy dress, some in almost no dress at all. But one thing is clear, there are huge numbers of letters being handed in here. I see Bernie Ann there with a whole bundle of them. I saw a contingent from Lusk with a crate load full of letters. These letters are coming in the thousands, and it remains to be seen how Fingal County Council will respond. Gentlemen, you come dressed as if you're going to sea. Why are you here?
Well, I'm a sailor, and I actually thought that we'd see the end of this when they did the sewage treatment plant near Barnagira and piped it out to sea. And they actually improved the situation compared to what went before. But the scale of this proposal is massive, and I don't see why in our area, and particularly the people in Rush who have had a dump, why we should be subjected to other people's rubbish and outfall anymore.
And you, sir, you've come dressed for sailing as well?
Yeah, I'm from Skerries. I'm a sea kayaker, and there's a big group of sea kayakers in Skerries, and it's just a fantastic place for that sort of thing. Huge seal population, breeding seal populations, and magnificent wildlife colonies for birds and Lamb Bay, Church, Rockabill, hugely important rosette tern populations. It's just an incredible nature area. And to start talking about this massive scale sewerage projects, it's just ridiculous.
Deputy Alan Farrell, TD, we haven't seen you at any of the public meetings. Does that indicate that you've been kind of ignoring this issue up to now?
Oh, no, not at all, no. Unfortunately, the public meetings have all occurred on evenings where I've either been in the Dáil or I've had other meetings to attend to. So no, it's purely been misfortune on the fact that I haven't been in attendance. But I'm very much behind the movement to ensure that this proposal is put back on the shelf.
You're very much associated with Malahide. Are you planning any meetings in Malahide, or are there any meetings coming up?
No, I'm not planning any meetings in Malahide on this issue. I suppose I will say, fortunately, there are none of the sites will really affect my hometown. In saying that, there are areas of swords that are going to have to be looked at, and I do believe, particularly in Saucerstown and Northern Swords, we're going to have to look at that in terms of bringing out people, making sure that they're aware of what is being proposed. But very much the parliamentary question that I posed to Minister Hogan on Wednesday just gone, where we had a healthy discussion after the order of business privately regarding this issue. It is something that he hopes to revisit in the next week or two, but obviously we have to get through the budgetary process first.
If the Saucerstown site were to be selected, or indeed the Cloughrane or Clonshock sites, the outfall would be just off Portmarnock. Surely that would affect Malahide.
Well, it is somewhat of an assumption, but yes, the proposal does include outfalls. We're not debating that. That isn't being discussed at this stage of the public display process, but in saying that, yes, it would absolutely be a concern of mine. I mean, Portmarnock Strand is an absolutely beautiful amenity for the people of Fingal and Northern Dublin, and I certainly wouldn't be happy with any proposals to pump semi-treated human waste out to sea. I think, if anything, it would have to be fully treated.
So have I misinterpreted you now, that because this is not going to directly affect Malahide, or none of the designated areas is right on your doorstep, that you're not worried about it and you can let the rest of Fingal take it?
No, not at all. That's very unfair of you. No, not at all. I have received dozens and dozens of inquiries into my office. I've had people at my clinics, both in Balbriggan last night and here in Swords in the Senior Citizens Centre. I had two individuals coming to speak to me actually from Rush, even though I'm in my Rush clinic on Monday next. No, it's very much an issue for the whole community. Just because I happen to be from the Malahide area doesn't mean I'm not concerned with this. I have issued over 3,500 leaflets. They're going out this evening and tomorrow, and there's a further 10,000 that'll follow that, ensuring that individuals know my view and also what it is that I'm proposing to do from my point of view.
Can I ask where you're from, please?
Saucerstown, which is one of the locations identified as a potential.
That's just outside Swords?
It is indeed, yeah. It's out on the Rathbeal Road.
And are you here to protest in your own name, or are you on behalf of the community?
Well, there's a number of groups formed, but in fact I don't think we should separate at this point. I think that no, Fingal says no is really at this point appropriate for such a super dump, for such a super plant. And I think a lot more research needs to go into it to find out what would be most suitable economically and indeed to affect the cause, that the objective that it's been developed for. I think smaller plants, there hasn't been enough study put into that.
Martin Tully, why are you here today?
I'm here because I think this is a disgrace if this plant is foisted on the people of North County Dublin. I think it's badly thought out. We're not where we were a few years ago. We don't need such a large development. We could have several smaller ones, and I don't think the people would mind that. But it's dreadful that it would be imposed on people, but I think the people now from one end of the county to the other are in total opposition to it. So as people should start to listen now before there's any more money spent. So waste preparing a big plan for something that will never happen. So I think probably the biggest threat of all is the vegetable industry. If this malfunctions and you get disease to spread, several types of bacteria, it's the end of vegetable production in North County Dublin. It's devastating. It's too big of a risk to take. Now if they decide to put a lagoon for this thing, and if it malfunctions and it empties into a lagoon, that'll become an open sewer. People can't live in conditions like that. It's so daft. But as I said in a recent article about it, I said that Albert Einstein, when he said, there's two certainties in life. One is the universe and the other is human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the former.
Is it the location of the plant near you or the outfall that you're concerned about?
Well, actually, we feel the plant, as it's presently proposed, is simply too big. It's not required. We feel that the figures are based on figures that were calculated in 2003 during the Celtic Tiger period, when there was a lot of expectations that the population would continue to grow and that industry would grow and so forth. And it simply isn't happening. It's never going to happen. So we're saying stop. Take 6 months out, reevaluate.
And what's this interesting piece of equipment you're carrying?
This is my spotter. I like to stand on my balcony on my overlooking the beach and look at the seabirds. It's a lovely new hobby and I thoroughly enjoy it.
And with Jerry Maguire, Mayor of Fingal, what do you think of the number of people that have turned up today?
Well, I'm very impressed with the numbers turned up here today, and the people are very genuine and very concerned about this massive development that's proposed is going to have on the whole landscape of Fingal. We pride ourselves, and we have 83 kilometres of coastal waters here, and we've a fishing industry, we've water sports, all that. I think and a plant of this magnitude would have a serious impact on that as well. Plus, we're the major growers for vegetables of the country here, and between horticulture and agriculture, it's be devastating as well. And there are a lot of landowners here who are engaged in farming here whose livelihoods will be gone. And I think we've had enough of this type of development in Fingal. And what I would be proposing is that there should have a series of smaller plants scattered around in areas for proposed development. There is a need to increase the storage capacity, and there's no one can deny that. I think there's a far better and more productive way of doing it, rather than foisting buildings 10 times the size of Croke Park on any one community.
Every councillor that we've spoken to has had a similar opinion to that, and now we've heard from you as well. Do you think it'll be possible for the elected representatives to change the idea or the plan of the county manager?
Well, certainly as far as elected public representatives are concerned, we were totally opposed to this, and even when it was moved at first in Portrane, we opposed it. Now, the unfortunate thing about it, the plant itself is part of a critical infrastructural bill. The councillors may not have no say in it, but whatever pressure that we can apply as individual public representatives, we will do to try and stop this going ahead. We believe the other local authorities should play a role too. They should take their fair share of the sewage treatment plants that are required for the area.
Sir, what's with the light apparel on this wintry day?
Yeah, well, I'm a member of the Frosties year-round swim group, and we swim in Skerries all year round, and obviously it's going to have a direct effect on us, this sewage treatment plant. So that's why we just sort of thought it would be more effective if I came in the gear, or out of the gear, as they say. So That's the reason I'm here, yeah. Just
Presumably you're here to say no.
absolutely, definitely, yeah, here to say no, you know. So as I said before, and I was talking to you once before, we have a very good relationship between the Frosties and the Fingal County Council, because they spent about $500,000 upgrading the swimming facilities in Skerries, both the springers and the captains. And we find that this just flies in the face of that, to come along and just land this on top of us, you know. So we just think we're completely against it, you know.
Okay, I'll let you get about your business. You're probably anxious to get dressed.
No,
It's very cold. I see a few people here from Lusk. I'm just going to join them. You three are part of the delegation from Lusk. How many letters of protest did you bring in today?
We had upwards of 2,000 letters of protest from the Lusk community, and that's not counting all the many emails and submissions that householders have already sent anyway. So it is very possibly upwards of 3,000. But we brought 2,000 here. That box was absolutely heaving, and it's a sign of the broad level of strong opposition coming from the whole Lusk community against this proposed large-scale sewage treatment.
What's your principal objection?
We think it would be devastating for the community of Lusk in terms of its heritage, its livelihood through agriculture, horticulture, local nearby fisheries. It's the ancient old capital of Fingal. It has a large residential population. There will be a massive negative impact. And we also happen to believe that the scale of such a plant as well, we strongly believe, having looked at many of the technical assumptions, it is not needed. Something of this scale, which is, people need to understand, it's quite gigantic. It would destroy so many livelihoods and further negatively impact on the quality of life. It's not just the smell, and everyone would be thinking and talking about that, but also the noise of such a plant. The disruption and the legacy it will leave for generations to come could be potentially devastating. The Russian Lusk area is the horticultural and market gardening capital of the whole country. So many livelihoods are directly and indirectly tied in with that. It would have a devastating impact. It's the wrong solution, and it needs to be fought vigorously, and I'm delighted to be able to say that it has been to date.
And one of those livelihoods, I see PJ Jones here beside me, well-known grower from the Lusk area. PJ, how do you stand on this?
But after taking generations to build up, 7, 8, 9 generations to build up, if this happens, all those generations can be forgotten about. It could be over in half an hour. I deal with the multiples on a daily basis representing horticulture, and you're as good as your last order. We get something like that out there, and we have one blip. Everything that has been tried for hundreds of years, and to get it to this far could be over in half an hour. They just don't want to know. And the part that gets me most about it was the consultative process. We're always the easy target in North County Dublin. We had a landfill dump for 40 years. Then now the Nevet, which is on hold because of a European case. Airgrid coming up through the main street of Rush, and now this. My understanding is people just sit in an ivory tower and say, there's 9 sites, let's go for one of these. I consulted with the councillors. I was told that the consultative process happened in the middle of the summer. The councillors couldn't give me an answer. I went and I met Fingal County Council as a growers representative and brought growers with me. We learned an awful lot that day, but we also learned that day that this is going to happen very quickly, that those 9 sites are going to go into 3, and that's going to happen by the end of March next year. So it's the usual story. Pick on the easy target on an ongoing basis. We can't afford to let this happen because it's going to close an industry down. Perception becomes reality, and everybody knows that. And that goes into the middle of horticulture. Forget about it, game over, gone. 3,500 jobs, 100 million of a turnover. Let's be honest about it. If you go out and create 10 jobs at the moment, there'll be a plaque put up to you in the economy that we live in, through no fault of our own. But let's not go there. Fact is, you could wipe out 3,500 jobs overnight in this.
I'm extremely concerned about this development. Lusk is a very special place and enjoys a unique agricultural and horticultural heritage, as this gentleman said. I'm extremely concerned about the economic impact of this. A vast amount of money has already been spent on the project, and if you just look around you here, you'll see boards, and there is an office in Dún Laoghaire which is manned by a full-time team of staff. I'm very concerned that taxpayers' money has been invested into this project, which is unjustified. We're in serious economic difficulty, and I fail to understand why the IMF are not aware of this project or are not calling for its immediate termination. I'm extremely concerned as a resident of Lusk and as an Irish citizen that this money is being wasted on an unnecessary project. And I really feel that this needs to stop immediately. This entire process needs to stop immediately.
Thanks very much. From Fingal County Council's offices on the last day for submissions, where we've seen a large crowd gather to hand in their letters of protest from the various communities, I'm Lorcan O'Toole.